here's something just because we got to lighten it up a little bit, and
it's lunchtime.
It's lunchtime, nothing wrong with a little pollo de los árboles, right? Little chicken of the trees. Apparently becoming the hot new lunch item down in South Florida. I mean, can you even imagine this? We got a buddy who has an iguana.
But I don't think he wants to make it a chicken.
No, we're not going to make a sandwich next time. You mind if we make a sandwich?
These iguanas that everybody wants to get. What about the boas?
Well, I mean, it's just, okay, so what are we talking about? What we're talking about is people down in South Florida, particularly people coming from island nations who've immigrated here, consider eating iguanas to be completely normal. That's just a part of life. That's part of how you can get your protein requirements met on these islands. And so, like this guy from Trinidad, he's a Fort Lauderdale resident now, but he was born in Trinidad, and he eats them all the time. He says that they roast the body on the fire. They cut the head off. You have to roast it with the skin on because it's easier to take the skin off once it's roasted. This is giving me a very strong appetite right now. Then we cut it up in pieces and season it with a lot of fresh produce like chives and onions. I love to season it with curry and hot pepper too. And then you got to love this line. He says, it tastes like chicken, which, I mean, isn't that that's what they told me about alligator all those years ago. And I'm like, no, it tastes like rattlesnake. It doesn't taste like chicken. You ever had rattlesake?
I haven't. No, but I've had
gator.
Yeah,
sure.
And
it's not bad.
It does. It tastes a little bit like it's tougher. It's a little gamier and tougher than chicken.
Yeah,
and it gives you bad dreams. Anytime I've eaten alligator, I've eaten it twice and had really bad dreams both times.
Now that's really interesting right there. We could go a lot of places with that. This is becoming big business, though. And as you could imagine, these folks that are coming to this country from other countries where they have different cultures and foods, they want to get some of what they remember from back home. So there's actually businesses that specialize in this type of food. There's one out in California called Exotic Meat Markets. And the guy that runs that says he imports 10,000 pounds of iguana from Florida every single month. He also sells, interestingly, and one would wonder if there's such things, but he also sells lion steak. Okay, I'm questioning whether it's real lion, by the way. That may be panther steak. He sells raccoon sausages, but he says he's making iguana sausages, hot dogs, and iguana burgers, and that the industry is really growing. Now, I found it very interesting, and Pat, this might catch your ear here. Do you know what he's selling the meat for? Like $60 a pound.
Sure.
Boneless.
Because it has that word exotic.
Ho, 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 ho. So, I mean, I'm just seeing, now every time I see an iguana, I'm seeing dollar signs, all right? Now, he claims his facility where he processes these is approved by the FDA. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that that's possibly a little bit of hyperbole or overstatement on his part. But, we do want to point out here in Florida, a guy who runs All American Gator, talks about this. He says, look, I capture over 1,000 of these little iguanas a month, and I'm looking for something to do with them. He says, I feed some of them to my gators, which, it got its own issues there. A little bit of cannibalism going on in the reptile family. But he feeds some of them to his gators, and others he makes their skin into wallets. But he's looking to export as well. And it's like he said, when I first started selling alligator, people would say, who in the world would eat alligator? And now I sell 80,000 pounds of alligator every year. So this could be, if you're looking for
delicacy.
Yeah, it's a delicacy, and it's also an industry. We need to get us an iguana farm.
Would you try it?
No.
Roxanne?
No.
Well, I mean, I guess, look, guys, if we want to start an iguana farm together, I'd try it before we started selling it to other people one time, maybe.
Why eat the profit? Just sell it.
That's right. That's what that'd be. Don't eat your supply or whatever, right? Well, I just think that's fascinating that we're now at the point where we're eating iguanas. A few years ago, I had a client, and I won't tell you too much about this person, but they were of very modest means, and this person partially survived by trapping and or shooting with a .22 the squirrels that would be in the trees around this person's house, and then made those into a stew. So this, and I always felt bad for that person having to do that to survive. But this is taking it to a new level now, going after the iguanas in the trees And, of course, down in South Florida, they've got plenty of them.
They've
They're
got
just
tons of them.
everywhere. Yeah, You've been down there all the
I was
time.
just down there this weekend. I saw one.
Yeah, they're just everywhere, aren't they? And
Yep.
They're not afraid of humans.
Not a bit.
So let's get us a net. I'm serious, you guys. $60 a pound. I mean, how much does each one of these iguanas weigh? A couple pounds? Mm-hmm. You're going to get about a pound of meat maybe out of a big one. That's $60. That's good money. Catch 4 or 5 of those an hour. Man, you're like an attorney. You're making real money now.